So I'm Mildred Otero, and I am the Vice President for Policy and Advocacy at an organization called Leadership for Educational Equity. I'm also a CCA board member, and I am here to talk a little bit about myself, but I'll be super honest, it's been a really heavy morning. And as I was listening to Jimmy this morning, I was like, I don't know if I'm ready to share so much of myself with 700 people in a live stream. But I also want to talk about it with a lens of, yesterday we talked a lot about privilege and different privileges. And when I think about the question around my American dream, I think the one thing that I think about even in the context of this conference is, and I even heard it in the last panel, is the privilege of information. You know, I did not have the privilege of information. And how powerful information can be when given to someone that can do something with that information, can make them make a different decision, can make them learn something new. And so, by the way, I probably will also add that I'm not good at sharing my personal life. I don't even have a Facebook account, so this is probably the most personal thing I've put together. I did this for my team this past summer, just because when Tom called and asked me to talk about my American dream, I really was very hesitant. I was like, what are you talking about? No one's ever American dream? I have my mother's dreams, my family's dreams, the people who love me and their dreams for me. I've never had an American dream that I could really think about. It's not something I even think as a Latina woman in this country. I can't tell you that my friends and I sit around thinking about that. And so I started to look back at this that I had done for my staff, and I was like, this is probably the closest I could come. I was born in New York City to a Dominican mother and a Puerto Rican father. And like most immigrant families, when something happens, you adjust. I was a sick child. I couldn't live in New York City, so my mom sent me to live in the Dominican Republic. That's that really bad black and white picture that I look like, very unhappy. And when I think about the way you grow up in America when you are first generation, is just so different. There isn't a pathway. There isn't someone who's saying to you, go take 15 credits instead of 12. So this picture down here is the university at Albany, in Albany, New York. It was my top choice for college. And so when that package came in the mail, the really thick envelope, it's like, I got in. And then I went to school, and I was in remediation. And when I heard Monica's story this morning, I was like, that's my story. Like, I got scholarships, I had awards at awards night, I thought I was smart. And I was like, what, did I become dumb over the summer? Because I got here, and now I'm in remediation. And I was in remediation for 1.5 years. Could not understand it. And it really affected my outlook about who I was I a good student? And I think that I connect that to the work the CCA is doing around 15 to finish. And I connect that to the work that we're just doing to give kids the information to understand what they need to know about remediation and how to actually make remediation something that helps students as opposed to hinder them. And we lose 60% of low-income kids of color at community colleges because we do not have a good remediation, right? And so, or developmental ed, I know it's a new name now, but I'm just using my 90s terms. And how much that really affected my leadership. And I say that I don't want you all to be like, oh my gosh, another really heavy story. But it is more about also how the world has changed. So I am excited when I hear the stories from the previous panel that the world is not looking the way it looked when I was having that experience. And I hope in some small way that little things along the way in my own leadership has been able to make a difference. I had the privilege of working for Senator Clinton in the Senate and drafted for her the Non-Traditional Student Success Act, for those of you who might be familiar with that piece of legislation, that for the first time, a senator in the United States Senate was saying, we have non-traditional students, and here are some supports for them, right? This is what they need. And that was 2004, right? Wasn't, terribly, terribly long ago. I think the rest of it are just amazing opportunities that I've been given to work on Capitol Hill, to have other things, but all grounded in the fact that this moment of being in SUNY Albany and really you debating whether or not I had what it takes to finish could have prevented all these other amazing experiences in my life from happening. Because in that moment, I was just not sure, and there was no one there saying, go do, even listening to Jimmy this morning, it was like, someone told you to test out? Like, okay, I didn't even know that was something you did. I sat there for a year and a half. And by the way, I hated math ever since. It ruined my relationship with math until I went to grad school and I aced statistics, and then I was like, oh, okay, I'm not terrible at math. That is such an important part of what happens next, because you all have been here for 2 days. You are going to leave here. There's more innovation to come. I feel like that is the beauty of what CCA talked about this morning, of how they're integrating their strategies, and there's still more to happen. So I feel like I want my story to be a little bit of, we've come a really long way from where my own personal life experience took me, but I also can't wait for all that has to be done. One of the things that I wrote that I wanted to share is that today, 250,000 college students in Puerto Rico are having their college experience disrupted by Hurricane Maria. And I don't know about any of you, but I haven't heard that in the news lately. Right? So most of them are being asked to move to the mainland in order to finish their school because they can't get schools opened in Puerto Rico. So I appreciate Tom saying that yesterday. The song that I walked out to is a song that was created by Lin-Manuel Miranda to talk about what's happening in Puerto Rico. And it's happening right under our noses, right? It's like, if you don't live in Florida, you probably don't even see it at all. And we have an opportunity to make a difference. And what are we doing with that opportunity? So I think one of the things that I wanted to make sure is you now have information about what is happening to the students of Puerto Rico. You now have information about different ways in which you can support a student in your campus to finish. And that information is a powerful tool only if you do something with it. So my challenge to you all is I understand it's been a long couple of days. I know you guys we've crammed so many things into your calendars and schedules. But this story could have not happened. I could not be standing here. And I only share this because most of you have probably only met me for the first time, but in 2013, we reauthorized the Workforce Investment Act. And as I was standing backstage listening to the young woman who's gonna be a welder, I know exactly what's in that law. I know exactly the kind of supports we put in place for her, and I know how states are working hard to make those kind of opportunities happen. I feel that privilege of having been in that room, thinking the fact that more women need to go into non-traditional jobs, right? So I just leave you with that to say thank you for coming, thank you for being here, but don't forget that you are part of a longer story in someone's life, and your information that you can give them, your piece of you can advocate for them could make such a difference in what they do after they leave your campus. So it's not just college, it is the trajectory by which you put them on for the rest of their lives. So thank you.